So here we are in Circuit Wizard. I've got Circuit Wizard loaded up, and I've got my circuit plugged in. I've got a battery on there as well, and it's plugged into the computer. A couple of things you'll need to do here. Let's get stuck into those. First thing is I need to fix my circuit diagram. For some reason, sometimes with the this particular circuit, what happens is when you load Circuit Wizard up, it glitches slightly, and what happens is your Genie chip, as you might recall, we set it up to have one input, so that we could have 4 outputs. For some reason, when Circuit Wizard loads up, it gives you 2 inputs and 3 outputs. So you can actually see there's a wire just hanging here. Let's start by fixing that. I'm going to right click on the chip, go to Program and Program Settings like we did before. You can see down here it's set for 1 in, 4 out. It's just not showing yet. So to get around that, what you'll need to do is change the configuration to anything else. So I'm going to go 3 inputs, 2 outputs, click OK. That'll change it. Then you're going to right click, go Program, Program Settings, change it back to 1 in, 4 out, and click OK. And then you can connect the wires up again. Bit of a pain, but nonetheless, it's just one of those things. And now that's all sorted. Okay, let's look at how we actually tell the Circuit Wizard program that you've plugged in a download cable. What you'll need to do is when you first plug in that download cable into your computer, a couple of things might happen. One of the things that might happen to you, okay, is the you have a thing called a driver, and it's basically a set of instructions that tells the computer how to deal with different bits of hardware. So you might have drivers for printers and drivers for graphic cards and sound cards, and the Genie download cable is exactly the same as that. So what you can do just to help yourself out is when you do first plug it in, come down here into the bottom right hand corner of the screen and click just here. Now what you're looking for is to have a little logo just here like this one that I've got here. What you might well have, there's a really good chance you'll have this, is instead you might have a little sort of USB plug like this, but a little circle swirling around in there as well. If you do have that on your computer, then you can click on that, and a window will appear in the middle of the screen about here somewhere, and it'll say something to do with searching Windows Update for drivers. Now, if that happens, you can leave that and wait about, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, and eventually it'll install and it'll all be fine. But if you want to speed the process up a little bit, what you can do, if you do have that little window, and like I said, some of you will, some of you won't, then you'll see a button on there in that window that says skip. It says skip searching Windows Update. And if you click on that and you say, yes, I'm sure I'd like to do that, you might have to do it twice, then the computer will still have a bit of a think, but rather than taking 10 minutes, it might take 2. And eventually it'll say the driver's installed, and then you're good to do this next step. If any of what I just said doesn't happen, if when you click down here you don't have the little swirly icon, then you don't need that step, so don't panic. Anyway, back to Circuit Wizard. You will all need to do this, okay, you'll categorically need to do this. Click on where it says Project up at the top, go down to Options, then go to the Control tab. I think this one's highlighted normally. Go to the Control tab, and there's this little refresh button just here. And what you need to do, if you look at the moment on mine, it says COM1 serial port. What you need to do is to click this refresh button, and the computer should have a little think. And what you should normally then have happen is it should automatically jump to auto detect. And on my particular case here, that's COM3, the one that says USB to serial port basically, and then click on OK. As soon as you do that and you click OK, what will start to happen is if you've soldered everything together correctly, okay, and if you've got the battery in and it's plugged into the computer properly, then you'll end up with a couple of your LEDs, or maybe one of your LEDs, blinking on and off constantly over on your Genie chip, like I've got on mine just here. Okay, so if that happens, and if in Circuit Wizard it says connected Genie CO8, then that's a really good sign. It means that the computer and the Genie chip are talking to each other, and that's what that flashing blue light represents, or your whatever colour your LEDs are. So what we can do now is we can actually test that our Genie chip is properly set up. And the way we do that is by using this option here that says Control Device. So I'm going to click on there, and let's take a look at what I've got in here. It shows me my inputs and my outputs. Now my input, well, that's my push to make switch. So if I actually go onto my circuit and I push my switch, then what I'll see happen, in theory at least, what I should see happen when I push and hold that down is over in Circuit Wizard, okay, next to where it says input, it's now saying that input 3 is turned on. Okay, so I can see that that physical switch has worked properly. That's my input. What I can then do is I can come down here to my outputs, and I can click on my outputs one at a time. So let's turn on output 4. You'll see an LEDs come on. Turn that off again. So that one's working. Turn on output 2. Some more LEDs come on. Turn that off again. Turn on output 1. And we've got another LED on here coming on as well. So that one's working as well. So when I'm looking at mine, I know that this output's working. These two are working. and that this one's working. Now, I also know as well that output 0, now you can't control output 0 when it's plugged into Circuit Wizard. You can't control that. And that's just purely because it needs that particular wire to talk to the computer through this. But I know it's working because they're both flashing, so I know confidently in my program it's going to work. However, what you might have noticed is that one of my LEDs, no matter what I do, isn't turning on. You see that just there? So what that does is that helps you decide that there's a problem just here. And what I can do is a bit of an inspection on that and try and take a look and see if I can work out why it is that that one is never coming and getting turned on. And actually, I'm doing a quick visual inspection while I look at this right now. And on my one, what I can see is actually I've got a break in my circuit board just here. My copper track runs along, comes to where the bit of solder is, and actually that's snapped off. Okay, and I can see that visually. Now, I wouldn't have spotted that straight away, but thanks to the Circuit Wizard helping out, I can see I need to do a repair there. So in mine, before I'm finished, I'll need to get in here and fix that. So for you, that's what you'd go and do right now. I'm going to leave that as it is just for a second. Okay, I'll fix that after this tutorial. I'm just going to press on, but in your case, you'd need to try and do a repair there. Okay, so what else can we do now? Let's just click on the cancel button here in Circuit Wizard. So I'm satisfied anyway that I know what my problem is, I know I can fix it, and the rest of my circuit physically works. What I can then do over here in Circuit Wizard is I can then go to where it says Run Live. Okay, now I need to make sure I've got my program written. I've written my program in Genie Basic. The rest of the program code is actually off the screen, so you can't see it because I want you to write your own. Okay, so that's why I haven't given it all here, but there it is, down there, look. So I'm going to write my program in BASIC. I'm going to run that in BASIC. So I'm just going to make sure, by right-clicking and going Program, that my program at the moment that it's using is one that I wrote in BASIC. And yours, it might be a flowchart, but mine's a basic one. Edit BASIC, there it is. There's my BASIC. So that now, when I click on this button here that says Run Live, what will happen is the computer will push my program that I've written over onto the Genie chip. That's now done that. And that program is now running live right this second on the Genie chip. So I can now actually unplug the cable, and by pushing the button and holding it down, I can test my digital diode, make sure that it all works properly. Okay, I'm not saying these two are really light up yet. Obviously, we know this one's dead, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, I think that's worked pretty good actually. So that's how I've pushed my program onto my Genie chip. There's the bell, and that's how I've done that. So what you need to do now is to write a full program if you haven't done so already, and in the next tutorial or so we'll hopefully look at assembling this and putting it into a case and finishing up. So we're nearly there. I'll see you in the next tutorial.